Wasn't that a beautiful space? There is so much going on today. And welcome everybody to the Humanity as Organism Thrives Convergence Room for Peace Week. And as we noted earlier, we have both the equinox, the vernal equinox here on the Northern Hemisphere, autumnal equinox here, vernal equinox down there. And we just came out of a beautiful session where balance was the game and the holos movement and the holographic nature of things. So wherever you are in the world, welcome, welcome, welcome. Tom Ackman here in Frederick, Maryland on the East Coast. And I am very, very honored to both be holding the book in my hand and to be able to, well, I'm going to leave it to Haseena to break the news. Haseena Patel is in the Southern Hemisphere, South Africa, south of Johannesburg, South Africa. And as a spiritualist and a walker and a Akashic Records reader and a yoga teacher and a writer, obviously, and women's empowerment, and we could go on and on and on and on. And I think one of the languages that I love Haseena speaking is how each of us sees in the other the seed of the thing that we admire that is right there in us. And I can't wait to hear what you have to say, my dear. I will stop babbling, and because I could rave about you all day long, and thank you in advance for a beautiful session. The book, by the way, just out, is called The Truth Walker's Journey, The Unbecoming of Who You Are Not. And I think many folks will recognize that the name of the author of the foreword, Sarmi Kanwa, is quite familiar as well. So let's hear all that. Time for me to stop talking. Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Jet. That was beautiful. We've just had such a beautiful session about peace and opening up into the space of peace. And I always say these days that we don't need a special day for peace. No disrespect to International Peace Day. And it's a good reminder. But peace is a way of being. And yet the reminders are so important. There are so many times in my life that I haven't been at peace. Excuse me. And this is how the Truth Walker's journey actually came to be. And I will be referring to the principles in my book, but this has been a 10-year journey since 2013. The reason I say that is those of us who've been involved in World Unity Week, we all have these different missions. We heard Michael talk about his earlier, and this was a mission I describe as, since I came into the world, as soon as I could understand anything, as soon as I could pick up a pen and start writing, I would write poetry about peace, about just being in peace. And it wasn't in those words. But I remember writing a poem when I was about in grade 3 about if all the soil in the garden was soft and all the flowers' hearts were warm, we'd live in peace till the end of our days, never a seed not sown. And just looking at it, that was really my calling to peace. I strayed from that when I was raised by a very caring village, and there's so much good out of that, as we can, we can look back on our childhoods and find those good things, just the parts of that village that really nourished our souls. And it may be one person, it may be a lot of people, or it might have been a spiritual teacher from afar through watching videos. but we all have something, some support to hold on to, no matter what it is or who it is. And then comes the other side of that, which we get told who to be, we get told how to behave, what makes sense for us spiritually before we've even figured it out, what we're supposed to do being born into the culture we're born into. So all these things are sort of put into place for us. And sometimes we just don't feel that we can object, or we're not awake enough to even recognize it. Having said that, we're in that space and we stray far enough from ourselves that we may have the gift of hitting rock bottom. Now, I had that at different times in my life, and I'd say the rock bottoms before 10 years ago, I didn't recognize that there were rock bottoms. But in 2013, here I was, and I finally started freeing my truth. And how it happened was that I had a fibroadenoma in my breast. And it was at a time when I felt I was eating healthy. I was doing everything physically to nourish my body. However, inside, I just did not feel that sacred nourishment. I wasn't reaching for it. I felt unhappy in what I did. I felt unhappy in where I was in life. And I think I was in a state of disempowerment and victim mentality. I don't know if anyone can relate. If you are, you can put a reaction on your screen, but that's certainly what I felt. And at the time when this happened, that fibroadenoma was such a gift. Thank you, Melanie. Yes, I can relate. It was such a gift because it opened up questions. It was the size of a lemon. And I had to ask myself, my word, what kind of a person finds a growth in her breast the size of a lemon? She's only 4'11" and she doesn't recognize it. And that was the beginning. We all have a point A. We all have an origin point where, you know, we suddenly feel that there's somewhere I want to go. There's somewhere I want to be. I don't know how, I don't know where, but it feels right. And that it feels right is the freeing of the truth. We all think of truth, reconciliation, unitive justice, all these things in very big terms, like big organizations, you know, on world level platforms. However, it really begins with self. We have to be aligned within, or we're not able to come into this, come into any kind of platform and make a difference. So that was my gift. And as I started asking the questions, I journaled this journey. And somewhere along the line, these journal entries turned into a book. And the book evolved one version after another, after another. And I remember in 2020, I had met Tom and we were together, and we were on a video call, and I said to him, oh, I put the last full stop on the book. And that was what I thought. Then it evolved again, because apart from the humanity aspect, I started realizing that we were related to more than just our human fellow human beings. And so started my journey into things like relationships with our fellow beings who are not human, the creatures, plants, Mother Earth herself, beings who are on the other side, heavenly beings. And it made such a difference when we recognize what is really available to us, what we got educated out of, most of us anyway, when we were children, then we start coming into alignment. And that's where the Truth Walker's journey started. And this year, as I put the last full stop on, I knew that this was time for the next step, and it was just right. So how do we free our being? How do we free the truth inside? When we finally recognize that there is truth, and there are 6 keys to manifesting truth. I do teach this in my book. What I'd love to do is make this very interactive, because I feel that it's all fine and good to have a platform and to speak about something, but when we bring the conversation in, we evolve. We make a difference, we give to the collective, and then everyone in that collective grows and evolves. Everyone who asks to open that possibility, and then they bring something even greater to the collective. So in that spirit, the first key to freeing your truth, to manifesting truth in your life, is really that home is within. We always think that, well, not always, but a lot of us think that it's a place. We've got to be in a certain place, a certain space. Wouldn't it be nice if my home was like this? Wouldn't it be nice if I was with my partner? Wouldn't it be nice if, you know, all these things are really amazing, but you create it from within. It doesn't matter what the external circumstance is. You bring who you are, that sense of home within you, to the table, to the relationship, to the life situation. And then we start manifesting truth, because when we know who we are, things start feeling right. We start acting in a way where we cut out the white noise, and every step we take starts being a footstep, thinking, what feels right for me? What is aligned for me? So what I'd like to ask you, and I'm just going to turn to gallery view, is, has anyone had that experience where they found home is within, or does anyone struggle with it? And if 1 or 2 people would like to give feedback, do you feel a sense of home within? And just take a few seconds. And if it's not something you want to share, that's all good. Go ahead, Melanie.
Well,
Go ahead, Emily, if you want to go first.
well, it's maybe hard to comprehend it in a short story because it's a lifetime story, in fact. And I can point out the important stepstones where I was 4 years old. I had my first enlightenment experience, whereas I suddenly felt totally connected with everything on earth growing. I was in the garden of my parents' house, but there you are not conscious yet what this is about. But it was an overwhelming feeling and homecoming. And there I was 16. I had a second enlightenment experience, whereas I knew me inside is love. And then started the whole journey to really incarnate in this body. Because if you have this experience, it's hard to embrace pain, violence, people who are not clear, all the white noise. And it took me a long time. It's a whole process that I cannot describe now, but it was therapy and singing and body work and all kind of traveling and meetings and teachers and so forth. And then 6 years ago, I got in India an accident where I died. I almost died. So I was out of conscious for a long time. And there, as I was above me, I really choose to totally incarnate now in my bones. And therefore I can now say, I am here and I can bring my light and love. And that comes from the place, me. And the practice I have is Taoistic practice, body. Safe in the body. It's my daily practice. Give space to Amélie, give space to me, my love, and then I can be there for others. So home is where the heart is, in me.
Thank you, Emily.
And thank you, Emily. That really got to me too. It's true. It is in our heart and it's ourselves. We have to take care of ourselves first so we can take care of everyone else. And that was so beautifully said. And same with me. It's been a journey all my life. I had so many pivotal moments and so many moments. And but through it all was also a healing process. And if I didn't go through that healing process, it wouldn't open up all those other doors and those other avenues in my life. And when I went to an ashram back in 2015 for an Ayurvedic wellness course, that really opened me up to something even more for that whole entire month. And the first thing that really grasped my attention was when I was 8 years old, swinging on a swing at my parents' house. I had met this master, this teacher, and I had told her that in my adulthood, she would be my teacher. So when I met her, she was exactly that same lady I had spoken to when I was 8 years old. So I told her, I said, there's a reason why I'm here and I'm at this ashram. And I said, I needed to be in your course. And even the first evening, the second evening, Aga Krishna came and started talking to me and singing to me. And I had no idea who Krishna was. And so the next morning we went into the for meditation and they started singing Ave Krishna, 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 Ave, Ave. And I was like, oh, okay, that's odd. So I couldn't wait to talk to the teacher. And the teacher's like, wow, if you are getting woken up and getting messages, that is a gift. And there's a reason why you're here. And then another girl goes, I got woken up before leaving on this trip. And she goes, I was asked to take this book because somebody in the course would need this book. And she hands me a book about it. So I was like, whoa, blown away, just all the synchronization. But then in 2019, I went to another yoga retreat and other things just opened up and more things opened up. And I needed that more time of being me. And my regular life and education, because I was working as an EA for the school board, I was just not happy there anymore. And more was earning inside of me. And I ended up having to listen to that inner voice and that intuition guiding me to where I am today. And now I'm an author and now I'm a speaker and just all the avenues opening up. And even my energetic healing has went to a higher level with my clients. So, but I'm happy with what I'm doing. But when you reconnect to your true self, to your authentic self, to your divine self, everything changes. And thanks, Haseena.
Wow. Give me a second. I think the live suddenly went, the volume went up. That is very strange and wonderful.
But we can hear you clearly now.
Say that again.
I said we can hear you clearly now.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Before I go on, one of the things we have in South Africa is load shedding, and it's when there are mandatory power cuts. And I see that my computer screen has dimmed, so I may just switch to my phone. If there is a second's delay, then just bear with me, please. So, once we've seen that home is within, the next thing we see is that there are no missteps. You know, sometimes we don't listen to the calling inside. We don't even know that it's a calling, because when we're so misaligned, then it doesn't feel like it. We can't tune in, and we literally can't feel. And that is when you realize that, you know, a few steps down the road, when, just like you, Emily, and Melanie, you two, when you were relating, you know, that there have been different steps along the way. And sometimes when we don't take the step, that you can recognize it and think, oh, but that was what happened. You know, that was the step. And when we don't take that step, then we feel a sense of, you know, I misstepped. It took a long time, and it shouldn't have taken that long. The real gift is when we see that there are no missteps, because there's so much value in those little footsteps, in those little, just like the droplets of water eventually erode the rock, they eventually create a puddle, and then a stream, and then a river, and then become part of the ocean. These little steps become so powerfully part of who we are, and we recognize our own power, just knowing that all these steps are a part of us. So that is when there are no missteps for us. And then the next thing is the joy is in the journey. And we can go back to childhood. You know, when we were doing things like, perhaps some of us learned to ride a bike, or learn to roller skate, or something like that. And we didn't do it to achieve anything, for the most part, unless you're entering roller skating or biking competitions or something. We learned these little things, walking, riding a bike, rollerblading, or roller skating, or, you know, playing a certain sport, and we just enjoyed it, so much of it, just the journey of it. We enjoyed every minute we got to spend with that particular activity, and we did it for the joy. We wanted to play, and that's how we actually get to manifest truth in our lives, because when we get to the point when we can do that, then we're so aligned that we open up possibility. So a good way is, I teach 5 building blocks to really raise your vibration. And one of them is the empathy building block. We always think empathy is something that you feel, it's a compassion that you feel when someone is having something in their lives which seems unfortunate. And that has value. We feel compassion for our fellow beings. That's really great. But what about the empathy for the joy? What about when you see someone standing on a stage and speaking or leading a meditation, and maybe you've done that before, and it's something that you do, and you look at the joy in their face, getting a response and making a difference to people, and you think, oh, wow, that is so amazing. I know how that feels. I just know it because I felt it. And the person that you can pull the feeling most from you is you, because you've been with you your entire life. So you can pull that feeling, whether it was when you were 3 years old or whether it was 3 days ago. And just pulling that feeling, you remember the event, leave the event where it is, bring the feeling back to you, put it in your heart, and you create that openness to possibility. And now the joy is in the journey, because you're not thinking of outcome, you're not relating it to outcome, you're relating it to that particular feeling that you had in that moment. So that is the third key to manifesting truth, the third key to freeing the truth inside, really. The fourth one is you are the experience. And when you're looking at yourself as the experience, you know it's not the situation out there. You could come to any situation. People here in the last session have been talking about working in war-torn zones, about what's happening in different countries, how people have suffered, and sometimes one wonders, well, how are you being with that? And you can either go into that suffering, but you can't help anyone out of a hole when you're in the same hole. So you can feel the compassion and yet keep your vibration high to be able to bring the experience of you to the situation and be able to help someone else, put a hand out, reach out your hand, and they climb out. Bring something from yourself that really fills them and they can relate to, and gives them the energy, the strength, and the hope to just climb out and get to a better vibration. And when we do this on a collective level, it is amazing. I mean, look at World Unity Week and Peace Week, where we all do that. We all know that we have maybe been going through a hard time. Maybe we got up in the morning and felt, I can't do this. And then you go into the convergence room and you feel like it's a nest, and you're comforted and you're supported. So that is, you are the experience. We get to bring our deepest sense of self to every single interaction, to every single life situation. And then B, the fifth key is B, stop trying so hard. We can be aligned with our truth when we just let go. Mostly, it's not that we have to try to get in alignment. We have to just keep ourselves out of our own way and allow the path to just flow, just like the river. I mean, the river doesn't have to think, well, there needs to be a hole here, I need to wind this way and that way. The river just winds its way and allows itself to be. It allows all the water inside it to just find its path, knowing the power of every single water droplet inside it. And we've maybe allowed ourselves to view ourselves through the lenses of other people's eyes towards us. This is a time we can stop and we can just be. And the last key to manifesting truth before we interact again is that the journey is your own. This is your journey, your point A. We have many point A's in our lives and many point B's when we journey to that point B. And we find alignment in every moment of evolution. It's a spiral. we don't complete the circle. That's a revolution. We get to be the evolution. And we go to the next point in the spiral, and that point becomes our new point A. And so we journey. And knowing that it is our journey, other people's footprints do not determine how we walk our journey. We can see the footprints, we can honor them, but our alignment is all us. And in this moment, I just want to go to gallery view again and just get some feedback of maybe when you felt that, or maybe do you feel in this present moment free, that your truth is free, or do you feel that you still feel held by the views of other people around you? How does it feel for you? And there is no right or wrong, because we so have that. So if you feel like answering, then just share. And if you don't, that's also okay. I'm just going to give it a second.
I feel like it's both, actually, interestingly. Right? It's an intellectual exercise to suggest that I can make a free choice. And so many beautiful messages all week about personal growth and development, and how we walk our journey and we become something else, right? We step into inoculation as infants, and then we see the errors of our ways at some point, maybe. And that rock bottom is the beginning of, okay, now how do I get out of this? How do I disentangle myself?
Yes. Yes, it is. And maybe that recognition is really, again, such a gift, because we see that we can. There's a how. Thank you. Well, I am going to just do a meditation to be in the 6 keys mindset, because freeing ourselves, freeing our truth, and just being who we are, away from the white noise, that is really the first step. And the reason my book is called The Truth Walker's Journey is because you get to be a truth walker. You get to walk your truth, and it's your own path. And you give yourself permission to do that. But you also don't need, your truth needs no permission, no validation, no approval, no blessing from anyone else on this earth. I am divine truth. I am love. I am light. I am peace. I am divine inspiration manifested into all that is right now. I am the experience. I flow. I am above and beyond circumstances, filters, perspectives, and emotions. I am divine wisdom and infinite possibility. I am every hope, dream, and inspired thought rolled into the power of now. I am. Sometimes it feels almost difficult, or it feels a little daunting even to accept our divine light, to just step into it and be that. But knowing that it is our birthright, it is why we walk the earth, to step into our truth and just be our truth in every single moment. And that is the ultimate journey. A lot of people speak about becoming. And I feel that the ultimate becoming is unbecoming, because we get to release all the shackles and unbecome every single thing that we're not. And when we do that, we have the ultimate evolution, the ultimate becoming, and we have exactly who we are, what we asked to be, and what we can be at our core, as our deepest potential. The key to it all is freeing our truth. And then comes finding reconciliation. And we always think reconciliation is something outside of us. We need to reconcile with people. We need to reconcile with certain interactions in our life. We need to reconcile. And when I looked up reconciliation and the origin of the word, it was very interesting. I wrote it down, and it was about finding balance or harmony. And it's really the only balance and harmony that can come is the balance and harmony that comes from within. The first reconciliation, if not the only one, is me reconciling with me, looking to the past versions of self and accepting ourselves unconditionally, just loving that past version, even though we may see that past version through the eyes of judgment. How could I be so judgmental? How could I be so ist, whatever your ist is? How could I be so backward? And when we release that and we say, you know what? That was the previous version, and I embrace the willingness of that previous version of me to grow and to meet this version of me. And I will not have shame about the previous version of me. I will just come into alignment and accept my previous being with open arms, and then going back to that key to manifest truth, that we get to just go to the origin point and say that there are no missteps. There were no missteps along the way to the now. And who I am, me being the experience, was never a misstep. And that's the reconciliation. So I invite you now, if there's one thing inside where you feel that you weren't in alignment, or you were the previous version of yourself, and you look at that version and you say, I wish I hadn't done this to this person, or I wish I hadn't, behaved in this way, or I wish I had done something differently. Release yourself and just give yourself permission, just through saying, I love who you were anyway. You did the best that you could. And look who you are now. Because you saw that stark contrast, it wasn't a polarity. That part of you made you see what you didn't like in yourself. And if it wasn't for that, you may not have grown into what you do like in yourself, and how you're just a better being right now in your own eyes. And we get to just get to that reconciliation. And now coming to empowering unitive being. as we get to empower ourselves through the reconciliation, we can bring that to the unitive being, to the collective. And we can see ourselves as the contribution, as the sacred nourishment of the collective when we come together in the Zoom. And again, I'm going to turn to gallery view. And it says, well, obviously, there was some change that needed to take place. And I'm just flowing with the change. Yes, when we see ourselves as sacred nourishment and we come to the collective, we see how we get to contribute ourselves to the collective table. And we have a place there. We always have a place there. So that's where the vision comes in. We all come to Peace Week, World Unity Week, with maybe a vision, saying to ourselves that I want to. My mission is, I'm adding to the collective table by, and we get to step forward into the collective being, giving ourselves as sacred nourishment and accepting ourselves, accepting the sacred nourishment that we get from the collective. Here we are, and we're being that, and we're doing that. We're freeing our truth. We're finding reconciliation with self. There is no other. It's the relationship of me with me. And then we get to empower the unitive being where we see the whole and ourselves as part of the whole. And in that space, we can't see anything else except giving the best of ourselves to the whole. So what I'd like to do is anyone who happens to be here, unmute and just speak a word of what you want to give. And we're just going to take everyone's energy of those words and we'll use that as our collective energy. And I'm going to stretch out my hand, just send energy. So who wants to unmute? Mine is love.
Harmony.
Thank you.
Love.
Thank you.
Unconditional love.
Thank you.
Joy.
Thank you. Peace. Share, please feel free to speak.
Compassion, and love, and peace. More than one, I guess.
Yeah.
Light of the source.
Yes. Ease, flow, put, beauty. And just feel our collective energy as we have a unitive way of being. You see, it doesn't matter what platforms we're on. We don't have to feel we don't make a difference unless we're on one of these huge international platforms. because you make a difference right here and now. Interesting, my eyes are burning because of the Zooms back to back. And just be with that. Thank you. Bring your hands where they want to be. Thank you for contributing to the collective table. And thank you for taking your place at this table. It is an honor to have you. And I am so honored to have you here. Thank you. Love and light and peace. And I am just going to step out and quickly get something to wipe my eyes with.
Emily, I noticed you unmuted as Haseena was surrendering the previous version of herself and stepping into the new. And I think maybe I'm projecting, but I appreciated that you were going to offer something as she was reconnecting to her next version. And I'm wondering what that might have been that you were going to say.
It was in silence. It was a holding space, love, of light.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Tom, for you too, for all of you. And someone unmuted my phone. I wasn't aware.
I don't know how to stop the live on Facebook. Let me just